For reaction from the other side of the aisle, Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss joins us now. Congressman, welcome.
Good to be with you.
So New Jersey's governor and prominent Democrats in the Garden State are calling for Senator Menendez to resign. We have not heard from Senator Cory Booker. Curious what his thoughts are. Should he go?
The charges levied against him are serious, and if proven true, they represent a grave violation of the public trust. Senator Menendez needs to decide in consultation with his constituents in New Jersey whether he can continue to serve ably while under this really significant cloud. Now, as I have said about all ongoing investigations, including that into Donald Trump, every American gets the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in this country.
Okay, to the crisis at our southern border, here are some of your colleagues on that front.
I think President Biden has a lot of ideas and proposals that Republicans are stonewalling that would actually solve the problem.
The idea that President Biden is at fault for congressional inaction is incredible to me.
Republicans are the ones causing the chaos by trying to make things as confusing and angst-ridden as possible.
Is it the Republicans' fault, or should the administration do a better job of enforcing current laws?
You know, I think the American people, when it comes to immigration, are tired of blame shifting. I'm a co-sponsor of bipartisan legislation that would provide more funding for border security while at the same time providing documentation and dignity for those who are here contributing to our economy and trying to build a better life for themselves and their families in the United States. The onus is on Speaker McCarthy to bring that legislation to the floor and to actually enact comprehensive reform that can solve our immigration system in this country, which has been broken now for 2 decades.
I covered the Hill for about a decade, and when you talk comprehensive reform, it seems to get stuck somewhere. Are there some simple aspects of the border crisis that could be really bipartisan, broad support?
Well, let's be precise about where it gets stuck. Under Speaker Boehner, under Speaker Ryan, under President Bush, it got stuck in the same place every time, and that was with the hard right flank, the MAGA caucus. They will revolt. They will challenge incumbent members of Congress with primaries for voting on anything with Democrats. I'm willing to take a hard vote. I will take a hard vote on bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform. I've put my name to the legislation. Let's bring it to the floor, and let's see if the Republicans will do the same.
All right, we've got a week left in the fiscal year. Are we heading for a government shutdown?
If so, it will be the most preventable shutdown in history. We have 300 plus votes right now to fund the government, to fund Ukraine, to provide disaster relief. But Speaker McCarthy is afraid of his own shadow. More precisely, he's afraid of Donald Trump's shadow. And so he refuses to put the country first. He has what I call a Crocodile Caucus, in allusion to the aphorism that an appeaser is someone who feeds a crocodile hoping it'll eat him last. Speaker McCarthy is feeding the crocodile. He fed him the Constitution on January 6th. He fed the Crocodile Caucus Joe Biden with the impeachment inquiry. He fed him Ukraine just recently. They're going to eat him anyway. But until then, the country has to suffer.
Some Freedom Caucus members obviously won't be happy about it, may try to vacate the chair. But should the Speaker reach across the aisle and try to get a bipartisan government funding package done by the deadline?
Of course, Speaker McCarthy should try to get a continuing resolution done by the deadline. Shutting down the government, one, makes the border less secure, and it, two, undermines basic services for the American people. As I said, most preventable shutdown in history. We voted on a compromise this spring that has the top line numbers for funding the government for the next year and has a schedule for bringing 12 different appropriations bills to the floor. The only reason that this is happening is that Kevin McCarthy lacks the political courage to do what is right for the country.
He might have the toughest job in Washington right about now. After President Zelensky's visit to Washington and Capitol Hill, where are you, Congressman, on the war in Ukraine?
I'm strongly in support, as I was on day one. I was able to meet with President Zelensky, told him that Congress will be with him, as I am confident they will be. And let's be clear here what is at stake. President Reagan stood up to the Soviet Union, helped usher in its demise. Vladimir Putin is trying to rebuild that empire, and it would be a catastrophe if America, by its apathy or by cutting and running under a new president, were to allow that to happen. Not just for what the Soviet Union, a reforged Soviet Union or Russia would do to Europe, but what China would take away from that. Because make no mistake, Xi Jinping is watching what happens in Ukraine very closely.
Congressman Jake Auchincloss from Massachusetts, grateful for your time. Have a wonderful weekend.
Good to be with you.